Hello and good morning. Good Monday morning. And today is Monday, February the 13th. Lucky number 13. Actually, 13 is one of my favorite numbers, but I think for many people, tomorrow might be a rather special day. Yeah. So happy Valentine's Day to those of you who celebrate it and recognize and acknowledge it. For me personally, it's not a big deal. It's just something that comes up every year. It's another day on the calendar for me, similar to New Year's. Anyway, I do have some new equipment that I picked up while I was away on holidays. So I am still working out some of the kinks with the equipment. So I do apologize if the audio isn't great. Please send me a message. Let me know because I would like to make improvements. Also, the video is doing this autofocus thing. I'm not sure if there's a setting on my new camera, but I do apologize. For those of you who are new here, welcome. You are very welcome in this space. And for those of you who are returning, welcome back and thank you for continuing to support my channel. I am going to jump right into explaining exactly how this works for the new people on the channel. For those of you who are returning, you can jump to the timestamps. Just a reminder, these are general readings, general in nature. I am not a doctor, a lawyer, or a certified financial advisor, so please use your free will when it comes to making decisions and don't base your decisions solely on what you hear based on a general reading. All right. I am available for personal readings. You can go to my website, intuitivebutterfly.com/services, and find out a little bit more about what I do. All right. So for the newbies out there, every Monday I jump on and I record a video. I present 3 rocks, gems, or trinkets. And I ask you to go into a light meditative state. And from that state, I ask you to intuitively select which of the rocks, gems, or trinkets you are most drawn towards. I will then pull 2 cards from the deck that each of the rocks, gems, or trinkets is assigned to. And we will have a look at the dominant energy influencing you this week, as well as the shadow energy, something that is bubbling or brewing just below the surface that you may not be aware of, but maybe you need to be aware of. It helps you to get through the week a little bit easier if you are aware of the shadows that are going on behind the scenes. All right. Let's get started with the light meditation. And before I jump into the light meditation, let me just say happy birthday to the late Aquarians and happy birthday to the early Pisceans that are in the group. I wish you all the best. All right. So take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold it at the top. And as you release, allow the muscles in your neck, back, and shoulders to relax and release. When you're ready, inhale again. Nice deep breath. Inhale all the way down so that the stomach expands as well. Hold it at the top for a couple of seconds and then release. And as you release, allow a sense of relaxation to flow through all of your extremities, right down to your fingertips and your toes. One last breath, third one. Deep inhale, deep, deep, deep. All the way down. Hold it for just a moment and then relax. If you had your eyes closed, please open your eyes, and I'm going to present the 3 little trinkets for this week. The first one is a little piece of garnet. Garnet is the birthstone for January, so I do still have it sitting out. So if you are drawn to this little piece of garnet, then I will be pulling cards for you from deck number 1. In honor of those born in the month of February, I do have a small piece of amethyst here. It is purple, but with the color today, it's a little difficult to see. But it is a piece of raw amethyst. It's not polished. So if you're drawn towards this piece of amethyst, I'll be pulling cards for you from deck number 2. And finally, this week, we have a piece of turquoise. So if you are intuitively drawn towards this piece of turquoise, I will be pulling cards for you from deck number 3. So take a deep breath, make your decision as to whether you are intuitively drawn towards the garnet, the amethyst, or the turquoise. And let's get started. For those of you who selected the garnet, I will be pulling cards for you this week from the Osho Zen Tarot. All of the decks were previously cleansed and cleared. So let's get started. For those who selected the garnet, let's have a look at their dominant energy influencing them this week. Okay, well, we have 3 cards that have come out for you. Let's have a look at the cards and see what's influencing you this week. We have maturity, we have the non-delusion, and we have aloneness. All right. So what these cards are telling me this week is that your dominant energies are actually really, really balanced. You are coming from a place of maturity. Now, hopefully we're not going to get too much of a reflection and we'll be able to focus the camera. You're coming from a place of maturity this week in whatever you happen to encounter or whatever comes your way and crosses your path. This includes, because February 14th is tomorrow, Valentine's Day, this includes your interactions with loved ones. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video in the introduction, I don't actually ascribe to, subscribe to, celebrate, or acknowledge Valentine's Day in my own life. And one of the reasons I don't is because I found from past experience, not only personally, but as well listening to friends and family, that Valentine's Day is a day for much disappointment for many people because their loved one does not do what the person expected of them. And unfortunately, around this time of the year, a lot of people don't express specifically what they want because they just expect their lover or partner or spouse to know them well enough to surprise them with something. Okay, this leads to disappointment. And so this card, the maturity card this week, is telling me that if something like that comes up for you, you will have the ability and capacity to be able to deal with these emotions of potential disappointment in a very mature way. The other cards that you got this week is the Beyond Illusion card. Now, the Beyond Illusion card alongside the maturity card, and again, I'm going to try and get these to focus without a reflection. There we go. Now we still have a bit of a reflection, but anyway. The Beyond Illusion card alongside the maturity card is also, I'm going to give you another example of maturity right now in this day and age, 3+ years into all of this stuff that started in 2020, 2019. I think it started 2018, but anyway. For many of us, we are now living beyond the illusion. We're no longer buying into the stories that we've been told. We're starting to see that a lot of the past, the history that we had been told was the gospel truth, in fact, was a lie. And there's a lot of things that didn't make sense. And all of a sudden, there's new information coming to light that's beginning to make more sense. Now, for many of us, when we initially have this, for lack of a better term, awakening to the truth, what can happen is there's a resentment that comes up. There's a lot of emotions that come up. There is animosity. Okay. And so what these two cards together are telling me is that as you have the capacity to see more and more of the truth, as you are seeing more beyond the illusion, you have the ability to deal with all of this with maturity. And that includes being able to deal with those who are not yet aware of the illusion, who are not yet able to see behind the veil. It's very frustrating for many of us to be out in the world and still see people walking around who are really quite unaware of some of the agendas and other bits and pieces that have been happening. And there is a maturity that is required in order to be able to both handle the truth coming in as well as interact with both people who are fully aware as well as dealing with people who aren't quite aware yet. There goes my camera again doing its little thing. All right. Now, the third card that you got for influences this week is the aloneness card. This card corresponds to the Hermit card in the traditional tarot. The interesting thing about this is that in order to achieve this maturity, which was the first card that appeared, in order to achieve this maturity, we do have to spend time alone. We have to spend time in quiet contemplation and determine exactly what our truth is and what we choose to believe. Because for many, many years, we've been told what to believe, not just by what could potentially be referred to as the rich people, but also our teachers, our parents, professors at school, religious leaders, the television, aka the TV, television. All of these things have been telling us what to believe for most of our lives. And so for many of us, we have difficulty actually reactivating our natural antenna, our natural innate ability to go within and determine what our truth is. Okay. So all of this is coming up for those of you that selected this Garnet this week. You've got really, really powerful energies coming up. You've got a situation that's going to require you to act with maturity. You are beginning to see way beyond the illusion. But in order to be able to really see beyond the illusion, you cannot just watch videos or read articles from those people who are supposedly awakened. Okay. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying that there is good information out there, but then you're going to have to go within yourself, go into this aloneness, go into this hermit, and determine what your truth is, what you actually believe. That's the important thing this week. Okay. Let's have a look at what your shadow energy is, which will be the bottom card here. Okay. Oh, look at that. I'm actually going to pull two cards off the bottom here, okay, because I think both of them are really, really important cards here for you. I'm going to try and hold these, okay. This card over here is the Creator, and this card over here is Projections. It makes sense that these two cards are on the bottom of the deck. Why? Because as you begin to see beyond the illusion, and you have to go into a place of determining exactly what your truth is. You need to go into that aloneness. Guess what? Your inner creator is going to have to take a rest. It's going to have to take a back seat. So it makes sense that this is shadow energy this week, because when you're in a place of a huge awakening and a huge realization that what you thought was truth is not. And this comes up a lot for a lot of people who went through the traditional routes of society and being raised, particularly people my age, more so, and on above my age. So when we are in this position of being confused, because really when we awaken to being beyond the illusion, there is a lot of confusion and there's a lot of stuff that we need to process. So it does make sense that the creator comes up as the shadow. It means that the creator is taking a back seat this week for you. The second card that I pulled from the bottom of the deck is the projections card. When I saw this card under the creator, I thought, I do need to read this card for you guys as well, because what happens is when we begin to see beyond the illusion, when we begin to learn a different truth from that which we were indoctrinated into, when we were told that our own thoughts were not true when we were small children. For example, I'm going to just go here. I have to. Many of us had imaginary friends when we were very young. And at some point in time, an adult likely told us, stop talking to your imaginary friend. It's not real. Okay. They were very real to us. Do those imaginary friends actually exist? Well, that's up to you to decide. That is part of the illusion. And that is part of your work this week of going into hermit or aloneness mode and determining what is your truth. Was your imaginary friend real? It was certainly real to you as a child. Do you still have the capacity to be able to connect with your imaginary friend from when you were a child? Is that possible? That is your message for this week. This is your dominant energy and your lesson for this week. Here's the thing though, you've got projections coming up as a shadow. Why? Because one of the things that you need to get around and get over is the projections of other people. Everybody else has projected their beliefs onto you since you were a little baby. This week is going to be huge. Huge, huge, huge. You have work to do, but it is going to be a huge week for you in order to be able to process these really, really big energies. All right. Okay. Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate all of you. I would love to hear how you're enjoying these. If these messages are resonating with you, please put a couple of comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. All right, let's move into those of you that selected this little piece of amethyst there. As you can see, it is purple, although against my purple shirt, it doesn't really stand out. But for those of you who selected this purple amethyst, I'll be pulling cards for you this week from the Angels and Ancestors deck by Carl Gray. Okay, what is the dominant energy influencing those who selected? Oh, we've got one card that spilled right over. All right. Okay. You received the Star Ancestor. Follow the voice of your soul this week. Really powerful card. Now, I am going to encourage you, although you selected this piece of amethyst, I'm going to encourage you to watch the garnet as well this week. The garnet energies are really similar to the energies that you have just received. Follow the voice of your soul. This card is telling me that your dominant energy this week is about really, really going within and determining who you are, what your own still small voice is saying and then following that. And this, keeping in mind as you do that, that you are a star seed. We are all star seeds on this planet. Now, I know that that is a much overused word, and there's so many people that are using star seed to try and put themselves on a higher pedestal, which is very unstar seed like, if that makes sense. Okay. Being a star seed isn't about putting ourselves on a pedestal and espousing something to other people. Being a star seed is about recognizing and acknowledging the truth within ourselves. Okay. It's about not following the indoctrination that we've received our entire lives. Okay. We've been told how to behave, how to live, what's right, what's wrong. We've been told that, the first peoples of the planet came from certain continents. We've been told that the pyramids were built at a certain period in time. We've been told, oh, Atlantis is just a story. All of these things. And part of the dominant energy for you guys this week is going to be going within, looking at history, looking at your own history within yourself, and determining what is right for you. What is your voice in all of this without all of the other chatter? Okay, that's your dominant energy this week and your work this week. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck and determine what your shadow energy is this week. Your shadow energy this week is the sun. Okay. Now, to a certain degree, this makes sense. And I'm going to pull a second card from the bottom of the deck because I think it's important as well. You've got the shapeshifter. Transform and unveil your gifts. These two cards make sense being shadow energy this week, especially if you are working on getting in touch with and following the voice of your own soul. When you're doing this kind of work, it makes sense that you are not being caught up in enjoying the happiness around you. Because why? Because you're working. Getting in touch with our own voice, the voice of our soul, getting in touch with our own truth is hard work. And therefore, enjoying frivolous, fun activities, going out for drinks with our friends, all of these things can actually be a deterrent or a distraction from the work that we're being asked to do this week, which is this work. Okay, so you are being asked to go within. The other thing is that you've got transform and unveil your gifts as a second shadow card this week. And what this is telling me is that as you are doing this work, as you are learning exactly who you are and which history you choose to believe, which line of history you feel is correct, as you're doing this difficult work, it makes sense that this would be your shadow. Transforming and unveiling your gifts gets put on the back burner because as a shapeshifter, as a star seed, as these amazing, beautiful creatures that we actually are, but which have been, I don't want to say that. There's got to be a different way. I'm being told to say something that I really don't want to say because some people may take offense to it and take it the wrong way. Okay. What I'm being told to say is we have been dumbed down. It's that simple. We've been indoctrinated. We've been told what to believe. We've been told a narrative. And as that has happened for us, our own innate ability to go within and tap in and determine who we are and what we believe has been pushed aside and pushed aside and pushed aside. Well, guess what? You push aside enough things and all of a sudden your gifts don't have the capacity to come out anymore. And that's why this is a shadow this week. So what this is telling me is that if you really, really want to enjoy your happiness and to be able to have these shapeshifter type gifts and to be able to transform and to be able to really be the magical people that we are, then this comes first. You have to do this work first. All right. So thank you so much for being here this week. I greatly appreciate all of you. I would love it if you would put a comment in for me and let me know how these are resonating with you, if you are enjoying them. I just love the feedback. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. Those of you that selected this piece of turquoise this week, I will be pulling cards for you from the Fairy Tarot by Radley Valentine. And let's get started. All right. Dominant energy. Oh, we've got one. Is there anything else? Dominant energy for those who selected the turquoise this week. We've got the Three of Winter. This is also the equivalent to the Three of Swords in the traditional tarot. I'm hoping there isn't too much of a reflection, but as you can see, the queen character, the female character on this card is actually holding three swords. Okay. So reach out to others for comfort and love. Oh, well, that's kind of fitting considering tomorrow is February 14th, which a lot of people recognize and acknowledge as a very important date on the calendar. You will grow stronger from this situation. Sadness that will heal in time. Okay. So one of the things that came up for me while I was reading for those who selected the Garnet was that February 14th can be a time of disappointment for many people. And the reason why is that we put expectations on others without actually expressing what our expectations are. We expect other people to be psychic and know what we want when it comes to special dates in the calendar. Like Valentine's Day, like birthdays, Christmas, New Year's, all of these dates, we expect somebody to, well, they should have known. I'm their girlfriend. I'm their boyfriend. They should have known what I like. They should have done something for me. Okay. This brings up a lot of disappointments, a lot of shame for a lot of people. And so this Three of Winter is telling me that that possibility exists for you this week. The possibility of somebody else disappointing you because maybe you didn't express exactly what it was that you wanted. You weren't specific enough. Okay. This brings up the topic of open communication, making sure that you're actually speaking and verbalizing what you want. Unfortunately, even psychics can't always pick up the subtleties of what their partner potentially wants or doesn't want. Okay. We do need to verbalize exactly what it is that we want. I do want to bring out as well that this card is asking us to reach out to others for comfort and love. And what that is indicating is that this week is a week where, okay, for those that selected both the Garnet and the Amethyst this week, they both had cards that indicated they needed to go within. They needed to withdraw a little bit. They needed to really, really determine who they were on the inside and seek out their own truth. And what this is telling me is that those of you that selected the turquoise this week actually have a very different message where you are being asked to seek out others for help and assistance this week and for emotional support. Yeah. There's something coming up about the bear here as well for me. So the bear coming in, oftentimes we look at a bear and you know, there's two sides to a bear. There's a duality involved, right? Both the loving, cuddly teddy bears that we all like to have, especially when we were children, and they gave us much comfort. And as we get older, we actually learn to fear the bear. Okay. So this comes down to what I was saying a moment ago about the communication, that if we are not being clear about our wants and our needs and verbalizing those and actually expressing them to other people, then what can happen is there can be this miscommunication, which brings in the duality that the bear is representing on this card. Okay, let's have a look at what your shadow is this week. Okay. Your shadow energy this week is the Unity card. This is the 5 in the traditional tarot of the major arcana. Do the right thing for the right reason. So for those of you that had the turquoise this week, this is indicating that some of the decisions or choices that you're making this week may not be in your highest interest unless you are coming from that place of higher knowledge, right? If you're coming from a place of being selfish, if you're coming from a place of doing things specifically for serving your own purpose and not looking out for the greater good, then there does exist the potential for conflict here. So this is your shadow this week, which is indicating, you know, it's the Unity card. It's about working together. If you're not willing to work together and have that coming together, and that's kind of being indicated by the 3 of Swords here, the 3 of Winter as well in your dominant energy, that open communication is going to be really, really important, and doing the right thing for the right reason is really important this week as well. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate you being here. If you did enjoy this, please comment. I would love to have your feedback. Thank you so much, and we will see you next Monday. Bye-bye.